listening to the Ferment podcast, COVID Check-In. Today's guest is Jay Pathak, lead pastor of the Mile High Vineyard in Denver, Colorado.
All right, what up, everybody? Adam here. You're listening to the Ferment podcast. This is another installment of the COVID Check-In, and my good friend Jay Pathak is with me. What up, Jay?
Hey, what's up?
That's right. How's Denver?
It's warm. It's sunny.
Man.
So that's nice.
That's always welcome news, right?
It is. Yeah, I'm happy.
Well, hey, let's just jump right into it. This is the COVID Check-In. This is where we talk to pastors and leaders around the country and find out kind of what their experience with COVID-19 has been. So I'll just start there. How has your city been touched by Corona and quarantining?
Yeah, I mean, our state per person was really high. So I think at one point, COVID cases per person, I think we were the fourth highest state in the nation. And a lot of that was the mountain towns. So tons of people traveling in and out, skiing and doing everything. And then that made its way down to Denver. So yeah, so we've been on pretty high alert across the board, pretty much from the beginning.
Yeah. And so do you know anyone who has had Corona? Has it come that close to your world? I guess that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, it has. I mean, we, like many states, our governor stopped testing. So said, listen, if you think you're sick and you're not in the sort of danger range, either because you're immune compromised or you're over 60, just stay home. We're not even going to test you. So with that in mind, we've had 12 folks in our churches, and 3 that were confirmed. But it's been the ones we've interacted with that have been most difficult have been a click away. So somebody's father or mother, a friend. So we've been involved in 4 different cases where they passed away within one click.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, that's pretty close.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what has your church done to sort of respond? Because I know you guys love to love your city and you love to be open-handed. I'm interested in some of the ways that you guys have just kicked into gear.
Yeah. First thing is identifying those who are frontline workers for us, which we have a decent amount. We have a decent amount of medical professionals and then folks that are working with marginalized populations, specifically refugees and homeless folks. So we have a bunch of folks that work in the rescue mission, life of our church. And so that is probably one of the most complicated people groups in any city because social distancing in shelters doesn't go together. So, that's been tough. And almost all of their volunteers got knocked out either because they were over 60 or they got Corona really fast. So part of the work we did was trying to figure out, can we set up waves of volunteers to be helpful from within our churches and also coordinate within the city. And that's tough because you're effectively saying you will probably get this.
Yes.
So that's hard. That was complicated. And the state and the city really kicked in, built some different kinds of shelters using, like a rodeo stadium, different kinds of things that enable people to spread out a little bit better. So that's good. But it took some work to try to work with specifically people in our church and then also getting volunteers as well as medical professionals. So we have a number of ICU nurses that are on the wards with Corona patients. And so they've sat with people and watched them die for what amounts to a couple months. And so there's a trauma to process there. So we set up prayer chains and check-ins for every single day for all of those people. So every single day, there's someone assigned all through the day to pray for them or to talk to them if they want to talk to them. They can just send a text. They can say, can I get on the phone? And so, so that's been a lot of work just from within the life of our church. And then we also, in our buildings, shelter homeless folks. We're the cold weather shelter. So we did have some snow in the middle here. So we were banned is too strong a word. We were prevented, how about that, from hosting. So we set up a whole bunch of distribution out of our churches to have homeless folks come, get food, get heavy blankets and sleeping bags and stuff to be able to get through those colder times as well. So
Yeah, that's beautiful.
yeah,
I'm also interested because this kind of jumped on everyone in a way that none of us were really expecting, and because of that, a lot of us have had to do a lot of learning. I'm interested in what you've learned in the last 8 weeks.
well, I mean, that the encouraging stuff is I'm encouraged at how our leaders are really connected to people in the life of the church. I mean, it's from about anything we can measure, we are possibly more connected than we've ever been. Now, it's in this goofy way, right? It's in this Zoom thing. So it's a strange way to be connected, but I'm pleasantly surprised at how our pastors pivoted quickly, built what amounts to Zoom trees, ways that we could reach into everybody we know in the life of the church. Super encouraged by that. I'm genuinely surprised at how well that's gone.
So part of what I hear is that your church not only pivoted to Zoom trees, as you say, but I'm also hearing that the people in your congregation wanted to be on Zoom. They were really
Yes.
open to that technological shift.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's cheating. I mean, we've moved towards a lot of video Zoom kinds of stuff already. So we've done a discipleship spiritual formation thing called Faith Walking, where we've used phone and Zoom a lot before this. So a lot of folks that have been in our leadership spaces were sort of familiar with it. So this, sort of the Zoom training of like, don't put your face too close to the camera, mute your mic. Yeah, stuff like that. Yeah. That was all, we did better than some pastors in that. So I was really encouraged by that. I think if I'm honest, that the place I'm challenged personally as a pastor, I look in the mirror I'm just realizing some of the ways that we've been kind of deficient in our discipleship and leader development. We always acclimate towards people leading from roles and not from a place of empowering and being connected, discipling people. And I'm noticing the places where we're weakest is where people just kind of had a role. They could coordinate the thing, they could make sure that the welcome was working, or hey, this piece of the facility, or these volunteers that kind of got them all. They had the trains running on time. And now when there isn't any trains to run, so to speak, we're looking at them saying, hey, can you check in with these folks? Can you see how they're doing? Can you be praying for them? Could you give them a devotional thought? They're like, well, wait a minute. I don't necessarily know how to do that. So I'm aware as a pastor, I want to do some things differently.
Yeah.
In the midst of this and coming out of it.
Well, one of the things that even here at my church that we noticed on staff is how connected some people on staff are to the people who come here, and then how disconnected other members of our staff are to the people who come here.
Yep.
And I think that's been a little bit enlightening for us as well.
Yeah, I mean, role-based ministry is great as long as that role can be executed. I've always wanted to believe about myself and others is that the role is just a continuation of our heart to care for and minister and be connected to people. But if you're not careful, those, one can get in front of the other.
It's easy to just get in the groove of. Yeah, it's easy to just get in the groove of, well, I do X. So on Mondays I do X, and on Tuesdays I do this, and then on Wednesdays I do this. And
it gives you a false sense of connection, because then when you realize when that activity is gone, the connection goes with it. It makes you realize maybe I wasn't as connected as I thought. So that's a learning curve, so we're even, with our pastors, we've been getting on together and praying and talking like, how do we empower our leaders to think more intentionally about being disciplers, connecting around the scriptures, around prayer and heart to heart kind of stuff, because we can still do it in this this format. So we're trying to shift toward that.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I've learned is that for people in their mid-30s who have a couple kids, a Zoom home group is preferable.
Yeah, no doubt.
They can actually come.
Yes. And yeah, and then they can duck out if the kids like climb up a wall or whatever and come back. Yeah, exactly. So it's a little more fluid, it's a little more flexible. Yeah, and I'm also encouraged by it, to that point, how many people that don't have life with Jesus are finding the way towards folks in our church.
Yeah, I know Melissa, who is on staff at Vineyard Worship in Fullerton, she's had several experiences of people who were not believers, but who knew her and maybe kind of informally knew about her church, who have jumped headlong into their system.
Yes. Yeah, that's our experience. And really it's a harvesting time too. So, like Danielle and I have all these relationships through our girls' soccer teams and stuff at the school. And then I have a bunch of guys I'll play golf with, and she has friends from all kinds of stuff. So, and a lot of them know we're pastors. We've had spiritual conversations. You invite them around on a Sunday and they're like, yeah, someday I'll probably do that. But this has created a crisis. So they're asking new questions, number one. And then number two, the accessibility of what we do Sunday online with some of these ways of connecting in Zoom, they're going, well, I can just do that. And so those conversations are just ratcheted up. I think what's hard is if you haven't already been having those conversations or you have those connections, I don't know how you get them. So, in one sense, this is revealing something to pastors on like, were they connected to people that didn't have faith? Because if they weren't, it's kind of a hard time to start that. So I like these poor church planners I coach, their whole system's built on gathering. We're going to throw a party. We're going to get people. Well, good luck. Like how do you gather on Zoom? It's tough. It's really hard. They're finding ways, but the ones that they kind of had around, they're getting to go really deep with. And so,
That's
yeah,
wonderful.
yeah, I'm encouraged by that. And I'm sure you want to talk about this, but now the pivot seems to be toward not just, how did we manage this, but like, what if this is a new normal?
Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted to talk about. I kind of wanted to lean toward the future here with you for a few more minutes. It seems like here in Kentucky, things are about to open back up. We just got word from our governor that May 20, houses of worship can do something. What that is, we don't know. I mean, it's actually very unclear to me. I know that other places in the country, places like Montana and Georgia, have opened up somewhat. And it feels to me like, Jay, we're probably going to have an ability to meet in small groups of like 10, and maybe in a few more weeks past that, maybe 50. And so I'm just wanting you to riff, like, what is church? What is church? How do we do it if there's 10 in the room? Or how do we do it if there's 50? What do you think? Or what do we do if this doesn't go away quickly? I guess that's one of my questions as well.
Well, you can check back with me tomorrow. I might have a new thought. I mean,
That's right.
I'm my thinking.
I'm not going to hold you. I'm not going to hold you to any of this, right? This is all wet paint.
Yeah, I think I would say whatever we are allowed to do, it's not going to matter because this is our new reality for a long time. So what I believe is, even when we can gather, people are going to be very hesitant to gather. Especially if you have any kind of an intention or a heart for people that don't have faith. So think about before this, like what it would take to be someone who has no life with God or even hurt by church at some point to show up at church. Think how hard that was to do, okay? And that's when we had coffee and muffins and like, we're going to take your kids and they're going to play a game and we're going to give you a gift and whatever the stuff is we do. And even then, it was hard to engage folks that were far from life with God. Now we have what is quite literally like a virus that can kill you. If you're in an environment where it's uncontrolled or something can happen that's difficult or challenging. So the odds of unchurched people moving towards us in the short term are really low. Now, add to that also the amount of church people that are one excuse from not coming. I mean, that feels like Colorado to me. Like, if it's sunny, man, I want to get outside and do something fun. I'm not coming. If it's a new snow, hey, man, it's ski season. It's rainy. Well, it's kind of wet. Man, it took us a while to find our kids' shoes on the way to church. That, let's just go to breakfast. Okay, so I feel like a lot of our folks are one click from not coming because they're discovering life with God, or they aren't quite in with us yet. So all those folks aren't coming is the short version. And then I think even people that come, the amount of stuff we're going to have to do to manage people not getting sick is going to be pretty bizarre, right? So you're going to have to come in spaced by 6 or 8 feet. You're going to have your kids with you because you can't put them in kids ministry. We socially distanced kids ministry. That's not going to happen.
That's the first thing my staff and I, we've been talking about. We've been
can't be done.
Racking our brains. It's like, there's no way to do kids ministry, right?
No,
kids are going to climb all over each other.
So we're all going to pile in, and then are you going to have them sit? Because if you have them sit, they touch the surface. You have to clean that if you're going to bring anyone else in. Or just don't. I mean, you just be like, whatever. And then do you want to be that church that like gets to be in the news? So, hey, Vineyard pastor spreads COVID in their city. I don't want to be that pastor. So we're going to try and take every precaution. So we've thought about things like, should we do men's and women's services? Like, so in other words, so that we don't have kids ministry, we'll send something to kids, do something online, because then you don't have to bring your kids. You can trade off husbands and wives. If you're a single mom, gosh, I don't know. I mean, I'm not sure what to do, because the odds that you're going to keep your kids collected with you in a 6-foot circle. I mean, I don't know what your church is like. Kids are like roaming the place before and after every service.
Our church is a jungle gym for children.
I think most churches are. I mean, that's the thing. And that's what we love about it, right?
That's right. Like great. They come in and go bananas. That's exactly what happens at my church.
But in this moment, so someone brings their grandpa, their grandma, their neighbor friend, some kid just runs up and like hugs them or brushes their leg. They're going to freak out. So whatever we do here, we're not going back to normal for a while.
Yeah.
Most people I talk to, just kind of sociologically thinking about it, are saying, if there isn't a clear antibody test and a vaccine, I just think there's enough fear in our culture that we're not going to do church the way we were used to for a while. And so we're thinking about men's and women's services. We're thinking about parks and porches. It's the other thing we said. So can we do things outside in a way that you bring your own lawn chair, you kind of take up your own little area? We find people with large backyards and say, space them out. They come in, they go out. We try to project some things. I mean, we're kicking around a lot of ideas, but I think that what I would want to say that we're trying to do is, let's imagine this is normal for at least the rest of the year. And I'd love to be pleasantly surprised. How great would it be if I prepared and I didn't need to, and we're like, yeah, we're all back, whatever.
Yeah, that's right.
I think we have to prepare that this is new normal. And that means we have to think about discipleship, not just gathering. What does it mean to be connected? What are we trying to educate our people in? What kind of classes can we run on Zoom? Alpha is on fire online right now.
Talk to me about that.
Oh, man. They have thousands and thousands and thousands of people doing Alpha through Zoom right now.
Are people coming to faith through Alpha on Zoom?
Yes, they are. I jumped on one from a couple churches in New York. It's like 87 people on one thing. Shoot them out into breakout rooms. Vast majority have no faith at all. Unbelievable. I mean, it's like, what is happening? We've been looking at some of the stuff Pete Scazzero's group does, the emotionally healthy spirituality, relationships. They've been doing all their stuff through Zoom, running classes that way. The Bible Project, if you've never looked at their stuff, they are incredible. And they build an Old Testament class that you can work through. And we're creating some groups to process that stuff. The Marriage Course by Alpha can all be done like this. Turns out there's some marriages that are complicated right now.
Yeah, that was the first dark joke, just sort of like dark humor between my associate pastor and I. We were like, if everybody's on quarantine, are marriages going to be okay?
Oh,
I mean, that was the first thing that came into our brain.
Dude, it's hard. And even recovery stuff. So I've been talking to some of the recovery people, like, can we build some recovery processes with people to connect on Zoom? Because, a lot of that magic of them being together is gone. And then also trying to mobilize in our neighborhoods. We're trying to canvass our neighborhoods to notice those people who are shut-ins, and how can we work together to get them the pharmacy stuff they need, or toilet paper, or whatever. So yeah, there's a lot to be done if we pivot and realize this is the new normal. We're going to have to operate.
Part of that new normal is going to be like stream church.
Yes.
It's just not going to go away, is it?
No, and I would say, even if we do gather, you're still going to have an online presence. And listen, I know a lot of people think differently ecclesiologically. I'll show my cards. I mean, every time I do stuff online, I say, this is not the best of who we are, and this is not who we hope to be. I think pastors have to concede that this isn't what we want to be. This is not who we want to be. I mean, we're the vineyard. We believe that the presence and the power of God engages us when we're together, right? So, it's okay to concede this is not the best, because what I'm concerned about is people going, well, this is just as good, right? I mean, I'm eating a bowl of cereal on the couch. I didn't even put my shoes on. I don't even have pants on. This is the best way to do church ever. Well, I have a way of understanding church from the Bible through church history, that there's something about being the gathered people that cannot be replaced in any other way. And so I think and people sense that. It's important to not hype this up and pretend like it's the best thing ever, because it's not. There are new opportunities in this. We're learning new things about ourselves. But I can't wait to gather, because I love ministering to people. I love worshiping together. That's what I miss, is prayer ministry moments. I just miss it so bad. But I do think this is a new normal, and we're going to have to get used to it. And we're getting stronger and healthier as a result, so that when we get to gather again, I think it could be nuclear. It could be so exciting.
I think you're right. I mean, I know that it's caused us to rethink, sort of what we were talking about a moment ago. Like, how connected are we? What have we been missing because we've just been, quote unquote, doing our job in terms of human connection? And so we've been working on that for the last 6 or 8 weeks. And so you're right. When we come back together, hopefully we'll be an actual more connected body.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. And I mean, I'm sure you've heard this. If you've not heard it, it's an interesting analogy. I've thought of it pretty much every day in this. I don't know who to attribute it to. I heard it from Ed Stetzer. I've heard other people quote others, where it says the church has been like a bad chess player. We always use our queen. Bad chess players use their queen a lot. Great chess players don't use their queen at all until they back clean up. They use their queen to win the game. Your queen, their rook, really. And so the best way to train someone to play chess is take their queen off the board. And then once they position themselves, put their queen back on the board. In a very real way, we've lost Sunday, and that's been our queen, and we've played like a bad chess player. We've used Sunday for everything. We've used our programs for everything. And we're having to remember what relationships are really about, what they're for. We're having to remember how to make disciples when we don't get to preach at them or do worship in a big room. I'm excited when we get to put our queen back on the board.
Same.
I'm hoping we can learn from this really well.
Amen. Amen. Well, Jay, let me just ask you one more question, and then we'll wrap. What would you just like to say to pastors and worship leaders who are listening right now? We've said a lot, but is there anything else you'd like to just say to them as we head off into what may be an extended version of new normal?
Well, it could feel like a right turn in relationship to what we've talked about, but I would say take care of yourself. Find the Lord. Seek the Lord. Make it so your home is a place that you experience and know the presence of God. And ask for his peace in your families and with your kids. We can only lead from where we are. And so no amount of positioning, no amount of Zooms or classes or any of this stuff is going to matter if we're not people that are deeply grounded in the love and the grace of Jesus. And if you find yourself flailing a little more anxious than normal, count that as a blessing and a grace, that some weak spots are being revealed, that you might find some deeper places with the Lord.
I like that.
I'm genuinely concerned that we'll come out of this tired and we won't be able to take on the opportunities that are available to us when we finally can gather and be all the things we've always meant to be, that we'll be too tired because we've not managed our own souls. So that's really what I believe is important right now.
That's a great word. That's a great word. Because I know for me, I've worked really hard the last 8 weeks.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Holy Week before this, right? So we come out of Holy Week, then we're doing this. I mean, take care of yourself.
That's right.
Find some ways to take a nap, enjoy your kids, enjoy your husband, your wife. If you don't have folks around, like, you can still like make little presents and drop them on people's porches and stuff. Do stuff that's life-giving. Enjoy people, bless people to the extent that you can, and seek the Lord. Find God. Read the Bible. Pray. Take naps, but find a way to be at rest, because we can only lead from where we are.
Amen. I like that. Read the Bible, pray, take naps.
That's right.
You heard it here first.
Yeah, exactly.
Amen. Amen. Well, thanks, Jay, for popping on and just sharing some of your heart and your experience with us. It means a lot.
My pleasure.
All right, everybody. Listen, pray, read the Bible, take naps. Catch you all later. Peace.